Have you ever heard a story so strange that it feels impossible to be true, yet every part of it is real? What if one night, you found yourself trapped in a place where time doesn't move, where the air itself whispers your name, and where something waits for you in the dark? Tonight's story isn't fiction. It's based on a real incident that happened in a small town in northern Canada, a place locals now call Black Hollow. And after hearing this story, you'll think twice before spending a night in the woods. My name is Ethan, and I don't just tell stories, I uncover the ones people are too afraid to talk about. So turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and listen carefully, because this story might just follow you after it ends. It all started in the winter of 2019. A young couple, Daniel and Claire, decided to take a short vacation away from the city. They were both photographers, always chasing the perfect shot, frozen lakes, snow-covered trees, and the northern lights. They rented a small wooden cabin deep inside the forest near a frozen lake called Lake Morwen. The cabin was old but beautiful, built in the 1950s, with a stone fireplace and large windows facing the woods. The owner, an old man named Mr. Harlan, handed them the keys and said something strange before they left. "Don't stay out after dark. And whatever you do, don't open the back door after midnight." Daniel laughed, thinking it was just a local superstition. Claire smiled politely, but she felt uneasy. They reached the cabin just before sunset. The snow was falling softly, and the forest looked peaceful. Inside, everything was quiet, too quiet. There was a faint smell of burnt wood, and the walls were covered with old photographs of people they didn't recognize. One photo caught Claire's attention, a family of 4 standing in front of the same cabin, but their faces were blurred, as if the photo had melted. That night, they lit the fireplace, made coffee, and sat by the window watching the snow. Everything felt perfect, until they heard it. A faint knock. 3 slow knocks on the back door. Daniel froze. "Did you hear that?" Claire nodded. "Maybe it's the wind." But the knocks came again, louder this time. Daniel grabbed a flashlight and walked toward the back door. The sound stopped. He opened the curtain and looked outside, nothing but darkness. When he turned back, Claire was staring at him, pale. "Daniel, the door handle just moved." He looked down, the handle was slowly turning on its own. He quickly locked it and stepped back. For a few minutes, everything was silent again. Then, from outside, a voice whispered, "Let me in." Daniel's heart pounded. He shouted, "Who's there?" No answer. Just the sound of footsteps crunching in the snow, circling the cabin. They stayed awake the whole night, listening to the footsteps move around the house. When morning came, Daniel went outside to check. There were footprints in the snow, but they didn't lead away. They started from the forest, and stopped right at the back door. The next day, they tried to laugh it off. Maybe it was an animal, they thought. They spent the day taking photos near the lake. The air was freezing, and the forest looked endless. But when Claire checked her camera later, she noticed something strange. In every photo, behind the trees, there was a dark figure, tall, thin, and motionless. At first, she thought it was a shadow. But in every picture, the figure was closer. That evening, they decided to leave the next morning. But as night fell, the power went out. The cabin was swallowed by darkness. Daniel lit a candle and said, "It's fine, we'll just wait till morning." But Claire was staring at the window. Outside, in the snow, stood the same tall figure, watching them. Daniel grabbed his camera and zoomed in. The figure was wearing old, torn clothes. Its face was pale, almost white, and its eyes were completely black. When the flash went off, the figure vanished. They locked every door and window, sat by the fireplace, and waited. Then, at exactly midnight, the back door creaked. The lock turned by itself. And the door slowly opened. Cold air rushed in. Daniel shouted, "Who's there?" No answer. Just the sound of breathing, deep, heavy breathing, coming from the darkness. He pointed his flashlight toward the door. For a second, he saw something, a face, half-burned, staring back at him. Then the light flickered and went out. Claire screamed. Daniel grabbed her hand, and they ran upstairs, locking themselves in the bedroom. They could hear footsteps below, slow, dragging footsteps moving across the wooden floor. Then, a whisper from the hallway, "You shouldn't have opened the door." Hours passed. The footsteps stopped. When the first light of dawn came through the window, Daniel slowly opened the bedroom door. The house was silent again. He went downstairs. The back door was wide open, snow covering the floor. Outside, there were no footprints this time. They packed their bags and left immediately. When they reached the village, they returned the keys to Mr. Harlan. He looked at them quietly and said, "You opened the door, didn't you?" Daniel didn't answer. The old man sighed. "That cabin belonged to my brother's family. They disappeared one winter night in 1962. The police never found them. Only the youngest child's footprints were seen, leading to the back door." Daniel and Claire left without saying a word. They never posted the footage they recorded that night. But a few weeks later, Daniel received an email from an unknown address. The subject line said, "You left something behind." Attached was a photo of the cabin. And in the window, two figures were standing, Daniel and Claire. Months passed. They tried to move on. But strange things started happening. At night, Daniel would hear knocking sounds, 3 slow knocks, even in their city apartment. Claire began having nightmares about the cabin. In one dream, she saw herself standing outside the back door, whispering, "Let me in." One morning, Daniel woke up and found snow on their living room floor. There were footprints, small, wet footprints, leading to their bedroom door. He opened it slowly and saw the same burned face from the cabin, smiling at him in the mirror. He screamed, but when Claire came running, the face was gone. They decided to leave the country, hoping to escape whatever followed them. They moved to Scotland, far away from Canada. For a while, everything seemed normal. Until one night, Claire woke up to the sound of knocking again. 3 slow knocks. She turned to Daniel, he was still asleep. The knocks came again, louder this time. She walked to the door, trembling, and whispered, "Who's there?" A voice replied, "You left the door open." The next morning, Daniel woke up alone. The front door was wide open, snow blowing inside. Claire was gone. He called the police, but they found no trace of her. Only one thing was left behind, a photo on the table. It was the same picture from the cabin, but now there were 3 figures in the window. A year later, a group of hikers found the cabin again. It was abandoned, covered in snow. Inside, they found a camera. The last video showed Daniel sitting by the fireplace, whispering, "I shouldn't have opened the door." Then the screen went black. Locals say that on winter nights, if you walk near Lake Morwen, you can still see lights flickering inside the cabin. And if you listen closely, you'll hear 3 slow knocks, followed by a voice whispering, "Let me in." Some say it's the wind. Some say it's the family that vanished in 1962. But those who've been there know the truth: once you open that door, it never closes again. If you liked this story, hit the like button, share it, and comment below. Would you dare spend a night in the woods alone?